Heather Slesser here with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension. Today I am joined by Katie Wantoch, the Dunn County Agriculture Educator. Katie is going to speak with us about her fact sheet entitled Individual Tax Provisions under CARES Act, Payments for Individuals and Filing Delays. Can you describe what the economic impact payments are?
The economic impact payments are also known as the 2020 recovery rebates, or some might call them stimulus checks, and they were part of the provision in the new law known as the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or the CARES Act, that was signed at the end of March. Now, these payments are kind of considered an advance credit against your 2020 taxable income. These payments will be issued for $1,200 for eligible individuals, or $2,400 for eligible individuals who file a joint tax return. In addition, eligible individuals can receive $500 for each qualifying child, and this generally includes dependent children under the age of 17. Now, eligible individuals include any individual except for a non-resident alien individual, and individuals who can be considered a dependent of another individual. Also, an estate or a trust is excluded as an eligible individual.
Who is eligible to receive these payments?
So eligible taxpayers who filed the federal income tax for either year 2019 or 2018 will automatically receive a payment. So if you've already filed your tax return here in 2019 or in 2020 for last year's 2019, the IRS will use this information to calculate your payment amount. Now, if you haven't filed your tax return for 2019, but you did file a tax return for 2018, the IRS will use the information from your 2018 tax return to calculate the payment. IRS notes that these payments will be made throughout the rest of 2020, so if you don't receive a payment, you can claim it on your tax return for 2020 that you'll be filing next year. Social Security recipients who are otherwise not required to file a tax return are also eligible and do not need to file a return. No minimum income is required for these economic stimulus payments. And again, the IRS will use the information from the 2019 benefits for those Social Security recipients and will be sending a payment to direct deposit or mail, however they receive their federal benefits.
How will the payments be distributed?
To allow the IRS to efficiently determine the amount of the payment for each individual and pay that amount as quickly as possible, the law defines an advanced refund amount. So the U.S. Treasury Department will distribute this payment to taxpayers, again, as rapidly as possible. Those eligible individuals with adjusted gross income, known as AGI, of up to $75,000 for individuals and up to $150,000 AGI for married couples filing joint tax returns will receive the full economic impact payments. For eligible individuals with income above these amounts, the payment amount is reduced by $5 for each $100 above that $75,000 or $150,000 thresholds until the payment is zero.
What changes has the CARES Act made to retirement plans?
Retirement plan changes include some penalty-free distributions that you might be interested in. Section 2202 of the CARES Act provides that a taxpayer may take up to $100,000 in distributions from a qualified retirement plan without being subject to the 10% penalty that is typically imposed. Again, if this distribution is coronavirus related, and they say that that status is those individuals that are affected with COVID-19, if an individual whose spouse or dependent was diagnosed with COVID-19, or individuals who may experience adverse financial consequences as a result of being quarantined, furloughed, or laid off, or having work hours reduced because of the coronavirus. Also, if you're unable to work due to the lack of childcare due to the virus, or closing or reducing hours of a business owned or operated by you, the individual, due to the virus. Again, an individual receiving such a distribution may repay your retirement plan within 3 years. In addition, the taxpayer may include the income from the distribution in gross income ratably over the period of 3 years.
What changes has the CARES Act made to federal student loans?
So there are some changes from the CARES Act as regards to federal student loans. To provide relief to student loan borrowers, The CARES Act has suspended federal student loan payments through September 30th, 2020. Federal student loan borrowers are automatically being placed in administrative forbearance, which allows borrowers to temporarily stop making monthly loan payments. Interest rates have temporarily set to zero on a number of federal loans during this period. If you have questions or to see if your loans qualify, you should visit stateaid.gov and look for announcements related to the coronavirus.
Thank you, Katie, for being with us today and talking about the CARES Act.